Hi students, welcome to Hindu editorial analysis of Vijayata IAS Academy. In today's newspaper, there is an editorial related to Iran nuclear deal. In our syllabus, you can connect it to GS2 paper, effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interests. Let us see what are the contents given in this editorial. Here, as you know, war is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Now, there are other areas where international cooperation is required. However, due to tensions between Russia and Western countries, now the cooperation among these countries becomes very difficult with respect to other international issues. Here, one particular issue is about Iran nuclear deal. Iran nuclear deal was going on for so many years. Iran was trying to enrich uranium. If it enriches, it will create nuclear bomb. But nuclear creation of nuclear weapons is harmful for the region because it is there in the West Asian region. Now, if there is any nuclear weapon proliferation in this region, it will affect the security of other countries also, and it will lead to nuclear weapons proliferation. That is why international community is trying to limit the Iran's nuclear program so that it can be used only for peaceful purpose but not for creating nuclear weapons. In order to limit the nuclear program of Iran, P5 plus one country, here P5 means UNSC members. UNSC have 5 permanent members. These 5 permanent members plus Germany, they came together to limit the Iran nuclear program, and these negotiations were called as Iran nuclear deal. Vienna talks are going on, and the main purpose of these talks to revive Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action JCPOA. It was there in news for a very long time. Since 2015, negotiations were going on between Iran and P5 plus Germany. Here, since 2013 itself, under the leadership of USA, these talks were going on, but 2015 onwards there was considerable progress and these negotiations continued. And however, in 2018, USA withdrew from these negotiations unilaterally. This is very important. Unilaterally it withdrew. Because of this, the negotiations broke in between. Now once again in 2022, these negotiations once again started. That is why this is in news once again. Now meanwhile, a new international development took place, that is attack of Russia on Ukraine. Now Russia is part of this initiative. Now other countries, now if you take P5 plus Germany means here USA, UK, France and Germany and China, Russia. 411. So total 6 countries now. Now in between in 2022 February, now Russia attacked Ukraine. Because of this, now these countries imposed sanctions on Russia. Now if Russia is a party to this particular negotiation, now how to work? These countries, how they can work together in order to limit the Iran nuclear program. This is the challenge now for the world community. And now let us see what is the editorial. This is the brief introduction. Now if you know this much, now it becomes easy for you to understand the editorial which is given now. Vienna talks are going on to revive Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It started in 2022. Like I said, it started 2015 onwards, but it was going on for years. In 2018, USA withdrew unilaterally. That's why the negotiations broke. Once again, they revived in 2022. Here, Iran nuclear deal. The countries involved here P5 plus Germany and Iran. Russia sought sanctions exemptions for its future trade and defense ties with Iran. Now, Russia already, other countries imposed sanctions on Russia. Now, in future, Iran, if there is any deal with Iran, now Russia now feeling that these sanctions may apply to Iran also. Russia and Iran cannot continue the trade between Russia and Iran. Now Russia itself is saying that in order to make this negotiation strong, successful, in future Russia and Iran trade should continue without any sanctions. So they are asking exemptions now only. European negotiators are saying that there is a good deal is on the table. However, Russia seeks written guarantees that those curbs would not in any way harm its ties with Iran. Now, Russia wants to ensure that the ties between Russia and Iran will continue further, and it will continue as it were going on. But these sanctions due to Ukraine war, these sanctions will not affect the relationship between Russia and Iran. Without Russian support, now these negotiations will not become successful. That is why now Russia got opportunity to ensure that it will have its own say in future, so that it will continue its trade relations with Iran. Now here you can see the map where there are different nuclear reactors. It is all, these areas are all related to nuclear reactors. Some are research reactors, some are weapon grade nuclear sites, military sites, some are uranium mining centers. These are the things. Now what Western countries and other P5 plus Germany, they are trying to limit the nuclear program, and as of now nuclear program should be halted so that Iran will not create any nuclear weapon. And they wanted no weapon should be there, and also they can use nuclear research or nuclear energy for peaceful program. This is the main agreement between Western countries and Iran, P5 plus 1 and Iran. Now you can see, if Iran gets nuclear weapon, now this is the range it can reach in different parts of the world. Now it can launch the nuclear weapons in around this circle. Even India also don't want nuclear weapon country, one more nuclear country, because it will completely destabilize the region. Now if Iran gets nuclear weapon, now the neighboring countries also may want to get nuclear weapons. Saudi Arabia also now it also wants nuclear weapon. That's why it will proliferate nuclear weapons in the region. Now finally, as our syllabus saying, how it affects India's interest, it will go against India's interest. Now we are already surrounded with India is a nuclear weapon country, China is a nuclear weapon country, Pakistan is a nuclear weapon country, and one more nuclear weapon country in our region will destabilize this region. Very different countries will compete for nuclear weapons. It will have security implications on India. Now USA, it is talking about the past. The nuclear deal reached in 2015. Iran was fully compliant with its terms. International certification also was given to Iran that it was following the norms of the negotiation, so that it can, because now on Iran some sanctions are there, it cannot trade with the outside world also because of the sanctions due to nuclear weapon program. USA pulled out of the agreement in 2018 unilaterally. After the US withdrawal, Iran started enriching uranium to a higher purity and installing advanced centrifuges at its nuclear plants. Now you can see, if any country, if negotiations are withdrawn unilaterally, now you can see the impact of it as well. After 2018, till 2018, here Iran was fully compliant with its terms. Iran was not enriching its weapon, it's not enriching the fuel, but after withdrawal of USA in 2018, it now enriched uranium to higher purity to installing advanced centrifuge at its nuclear plant. Now it is few months away to make its own nuclear weapon. Now, nuclear experts believe that Iran is just months away from having enough high purity uranium to make a nuclear bomb. Now, in 2018, it withdrew, no negotiations came. Iran, till 2018, it stopped enriching uranium, but after 2018, it started once again enriching uranium. Now, it is just months away, according to nuclear experts, to create nuclear bomb. So, it is very high time once again to bring Iran to negotiation table and once again limit the nuclear program so that nuclear weapons are not created in the region. Though Iran leadership, they repeatedly claimed that it has no plans to make one, they are only doing it for peaceful purpose. Western officials say growing nuclear capability of Iran demands urgent steps to conclude the deal and curb its nuclear program. Western countries now feeling that it is very urgent to continue the negotiations and limit the Iranian program. Advantages. If this particular deal is successful, it is advantageous for Iran also. It removes sanctions on Iran. Iran's oil will enter into global market. Already due to tensions between Russia and Ukraine, now already oil and gas prices are soaring. Now every part of the world is going to be affected with this increase in oil prices. Inflation will rise, unemployment will rise, stagflation will be a danger situation for entire world. Now under these circumstances, if sanctions are removed on Iran after successful negotiations, Iran oil will enter into global market. It will reduce the prices of oil and gas. Now once again, the economy of the world will be on track. The West's push to conclude the deal gives Russia added leverage on the negotiations. Now already Russia is sidelined by other countries due to sanctions on Russia because of its aggressive attitude towards Ukraine. Now Russia is now getting opportunity because Western countries are now pushing towards deal with Iran. Now it is an opportunity for Russia to have its word in front of negotiation table. Relationship at lowest point since end of the Cold War. Between West and Russia, relationships are very tense. Since Cold War, this is the lowest point. Now once again, Iran is giving opportunity for Russia to once again coming closer to West and to have continuing a relationship. Deal without Russia. The US and Europe are reportedly looking for alternatives to revive the deal without Russia. They are also looking for other alternative without Russia, but it would not be easy. Russia, an original signatory of JCPOA, it's initially one of the members, is a member of Joint Commission that supervises Iran's compliance. Now Russia is one of the member countries to take care that Iran will comply to the norms of JCPOA and it will not enrich its uranium. Now if there is no Russia, now who will take the responsibility of ensuring that Iran will follow the guidelines of this particular agreement? Now that is why it becomes very difficult without Russia to make this particular program successful, this agreement successful. Under the agreement, Russia is also required to take control of Iran's excess enriched uranium and work with Tehran to turn its Fordo nuclear plant into a research facility. Now you can see Russia's role is very important in executing this agreement. If this agreement is not executed, now sanctions on Iran will be eliminated. Now Iran's economy will improve. Now at the same time, if Iran do not follow this agreement, it will also create a nuclear weapon. So there should be a mechanism that someone should take care of this agreement and someone should limit the Iran's nuclear program. That is why as of now Russia is taking care of these aspects. Now without Russia, who will take care of it? In theory, the deal can be revived if other signatories take up Russia's responsibilities. Other countries should take up the responsibility. Now in this case, China is the country where it can take the responsibility in place of Russia. But will China and Iran will go without Russia is next big question. but it's not clear whether Iran and China would be ready to go ahead without Russia. What Iran is saying? But Iran is saying that their national interests are important. Iranians publicly said they would not allow any external factors to impact their national interest. That means publicly they are saying that their national interests are important. Now if agreement comes successful, now they are ready to implement it because it is affecting their national interest. However, it cannot antagonize Russia. Tehran is unlikely to ignore the sensitivity of Russia. It is an ally and reach an agreement with US, whose exit scuttled the original deal. Now, if it don't allow Russia, or if Russia is outside this agreement, then Iran should work with USA. Now, will it work with USA? Given the it's not able to commit continuously, because in 2018 it came out of this agreement. This leaves the future of nuclear deal in Russian hands. So this shows that once again only Russia can ensure that Iran will not create its own nuclear bomb, and also Iran will ensure that those research plants, whatever the nuclear plants which are making nuclear bomb, are converted into research stations or research nuclear plant. Only Russia can take care of this. China can take care, but China and Iran, by ignoring Russia, they may not go ahead and they may not work with USA given the attitude of USA. Now conclusion, the editorial is by concluding by saying that commodity prices are soaring. Already commodity prices are rising. It has shaken the global economy. It is due to Russia and Ukraine war, and yet world economy is yet to come out of COVID-19 shock. A further delay, if this particular negotiation is further delayed, or a total collapse of Iran deal, would not only deepen the security crisis in West Asia, yet deepen the security crisis. If Iran makes nuclear bomb, it will threaten the neighboring countries, and the neighboring countries also will now go for nuclear weapons. Now it will proliferate nuclear weapons in the region. Now entire West Asia, already it is very sensitive area. Now this will create further crisis in West Asia, but also add pressure on global oil and gas prices. Now entire world will bear the burden of this situation. The signatories should not hold the Iran deal to ransom. They should continue to push for a collective agreement that could curb Iran's nuclear program and take the country into global economic mainstream. As of now, due to sanctions, Iranian economy is not able to integrate with the outside world fully. Now, if sanctions are removed after this nuclear program, its oil can come into mainstream, and other countries also will feel safe on the account of growing tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Because already sanctions are imposed on Russia. Russia cannot export oil and gas to European countries, and it is raising the oil prices. As a result, the world economy is now on shaky grounds. If Iran's oil comes into main market, it will ease the world economy. For that, Iranian deal should be made successful. To that happen, now collective agreement and collective effort is required. That is the editorial is analysis. This is what today's editorial. Thank you.